Hey guys, and welcome back to Hyrule Park, where I am building a theme park based on The Legend of Zelda and Planet Coaster 2. And man, have I got a little bit of a surprise. I decided to go ahead and completely demolish my original castle town in an entrance gate area. With the heavily rumored and now officially confirmed as of today, when I'm recording this, June 18th, the DLC featuring parades and Main Street elements was, again, it was confirmed today. And I really wanted to make sure that I had something for this park to kind of be able to try my hand at that being the parades. In the way Castletown was originally kind of constituted in this park, it just did not support that function whatsoever. Obviously, way back then, I had no idea parades would be a thing. But yeah, it really wouldn't make sense to have a parade for the park in another area either. So I really wanted to do a complete kind of remodel of Castletown and the entrance, so I tore it all down, including Hyrule Castle. And then one last thing before we jump back into the build stages. I lost all my recorded footage of building this area. So that was a huge bummer, because yeah, I had a good 75-85% of what I'm showing in this episode recorded and ready to go and edit for time lapse, but yeah, all of that is gone. So needless to say, I cannot go with a time lapse episode with this one. So what I'm gonna do is something I see Mineral do with his builds. He goes through different save states and talks about kind of his thought process along the way. I think that's a super effective way of showing the process and kind of like a peek behind the curtain. So yeah, anyways, I'm gonna be doing my best Mineral impression with this episode, sans the beautiful accent that he has, and see how it goes. If nothing else, I think it's gonna help me organize this editing process a bit easier. Not that that affects you guys in any way, but yeah, anyways, let's just jump into the damn thing. Alright, here is stage 0, as I was calling it in the save states. I don't know why. It's, for all intents and purposes, this is stage 1 of the Castletown redesign. Yeah, as you can see, the biggest difference here is that there's nothing here at all besides this Main Street strip that I started out with. I do still want to utilize a parking lot in some way. I just want to build my own going forward, instead of using the workshop blueprint, which did its job for a very long time. But yeah, I just want to put my own spin on a parking lot. That won't come till much further down the road, of course, after we finish this Castletown build. I just saw the flash. There's something going around this park that I don't know. It's connected to some sort of animatronic, and I accidentally attached it, and I can't find where it is. But every once in a while, I'll see it flash on my screen. And I guess I could pause the game and go searching for it. But it's kind of funny to have just a random artifact zipping around the park like that. So the main idea with the Main Street was to support guest flow. That's why I have this army of dudes just spanning across this path here. The other thing was I was toying around with the idea of the perspective and kind of like the orientation of this entrance in terms of the rest of the park. With the original Castletown, the idea was having the Hyrule Castle here just about, it would be framed with, you know, Death Mountain over its left shoulder if you're facing this way, and then the Rito Village, which of course wasn't there when I originally built this entrance in Castletown, but it was framed nicely, Hyrule Castle, that is, in between these two big landmarks. So I was kind of toying with the idea of remaining with that strategy. But as you'll see here, let's jump into the next stage. So here is the new orientation of the park in terms of the park entrance and whatnot. So not super different. I know, you know, before we were looking at it this way with Hyrule Castle here and then framed with these two landmarks, but now it's going to be much more of a wide frame, I guess. I just saw that thing flash by again. Still Death Mountain as a big point of reference, but this time framed over here with the Temple of Time rather than using the Rito Village rock spire in this thing. Man, I keep seeing that thing flash across the sky. I haven't seen it this often before. I guess it really passes through Castletown. I guess let's talk about kind of what I was thinking here outside of obviously the Main Street area. But I really wanted like a guest services plaza type deal when you walk into the park. So obviously you're gonna have guest services. I guess it's not obvious, but I plan to have guest services here. And then, you know, you get an empty shell building, which I end up putting ATM machines using Geekism's blueprint, which I used in Kakariko Village a little while back. So I pull those ATM machines back in for this purpose. And then we have bathrooms over here immediately to the left. Yep, to the left of the entrance, in case, you know, you refuse to go to the bathroom before you left to go to the park, or your kids did. Regardless of how long of a drive it was, you conveniently have the bathroom right here when you get into the park. And then the other element to this is obviously I pulled some of the old buildings from the first iteration of Castletown into this main strip area. I don't want to do too much of this, that being, you know, pulling in previous builds to kind of fill space. But I did want to, you know, utilize the buildings that I already placed in the old Castletown because I think they still fit the Zelda vibe. The only thing here is, like, I definitely want to change these windows. It's just like lit. Initially, I wanted to have some sort of natural sort of feature in the entrance because if you guys remember, if you've been watching this whole series, if you have, thank you, by the way. But you might remember that I had like a waterfall feature to the left of the gates over here previously. So I thought I wanted to implement that here as well. But as you'll see, let's travel forward in time. Actually, sorry about that. Our time machine got caught up in a previous save state a little further back from what I intended. I was going to talk about what I have here, but I wanted to talk about this too, because this is kind of the point in time where you notice, like, I started messing around and experimenting with different path patterns and designs. That was a huge pain in the bum. It took me a long time to kind of figure out an effective way to, in a clean way, I should say, that's the biggest thing, to kind of get these designs. Obviously, this is very early on. You'll see kind of what it ended up being towards the end. Actually, probably the next save state, I think, might show that. But yeah, I really wanted to try and implement some different designs, some different patterns in the path, especially for, you know, this main plaza. I wanted it to be like this, again, this ceremonial kind of strip to enter the park with. But the other thing I want to talk about here is this little plaza that I ended up implementing. I mean, let's talk about the fact that Ocarina of Time remake is now officially announced. If you've seen that trailer, it looks like they're going for a realistic kind of vibe in terms of the art style, which I'm super pumped about. And I'm always pumped about Zelda. It's just my favorite video game series of all time. But seeing that just got me even more pumped about Ocarina of Time remake. Like, we already knew it was coming. It's been rumored for a while, but now that it's officially releasing this year, it just got me super into Ocarina of Time and really kind of, you know, going after that as a reference source for the inspiration of Castletown. And I guess like 90% of this park is did you see that? See? It was that thing again. 90% of this park is kind of based off of, oh my god, there it is. It's like diving in and out of the terrain. That's wild. But yeah, 90% of this park is already kind of inspired by Ocarina of Time, but you know, I really intentionally went heavy into the inspiration, drawing from Ocarina of Time with this one. So yeah, now I guess it's more like 92% of the park is inspired by Ocarina of Time. Let's jump into the next stage where this path will be a bit more finalized. So I will see you in a second. Yeah, here's kind of like a look at the final, close to the final design of the main plaza here, of the entrance of Castletown. I kind of pulled back and started to do some stuff out here too, outside the park entrance gate. But it's more or less, you know, the kind of final design. I obviously polish it up a bit. I have a bit of touch-ups to do here and here. The colors of the curb change from here to the final state. But overall, this is kind of what I landed on. I'm pretty happy with it. It was a huge pain in the buttocks to get this to work. I had a lot of times where I was trying to go in, you know, and fill in the different colors of the path, and it would bleed into the next section that I didn't want it to. But I figured it out. I learned a few tricks, so now if I want to implement this more in parks going forward, I think I have a much better handle on it, so it should be a little bit more efficient going forward. And I do hope to use some of this design element throughout this park and then future parks as well. Let's talk about this central Star of David here, which I didn't intend to look like the Star of David, but I can't help but see it every time I pan up. But obviously this is a Master Sword kind of monument here, central point of Castletown. That was my ultimate goal, was to have this central point and then have different branching paths outside to the rest of Castletown. So we have Hyrule Hall over here. Obviously we'll have Hyrule Castle coming up in a future episode. A brand new reimagined Hyrule Castle. I really enjoy like the more adultified, gritty kind of look to medieval and Zelda themes. Yeah, I want to retry Hyrule Castle. I wasn't unhappy with the previous Hyrule Castle. I just think it was a little bit too clean for what I was wanting. A little bit too fairy tale-ish for what I was wanting, so I really want to have another go at that. Then the other aspect, I can't remember if I already mentioned this in this video. If I have, I apologize for repeating myself. But over here, I want to have a dedicated Lon Lon Ranch area. So, you know, having like a carousel for a nod to Epona, maybe creating an animatronic for that evil Luigi guy and have some sort of ride based on him. And let's talk about this here. Let's move forward just a little bit. So here is what I decided on instead of the natural kind of water feature element that I had placed here a little bit earlier. Really wanted to lean into kind of the guest services experience at this outside of the park to kind of expand upon the guest services plaza over there. Let's build the guardhouse from Ocarina of Time, and then the Poe collector shop here, and then not really sure what this is. I am now. I decided to make this into like a stroller rental station, mobility, accessibility, wheelchair rental station as well. But yeah, I wanted to lean into, again, Ocarina of Time. Like when you first walk into Castle Town, or crawl in this instance, crawl into Castle Town, and immediately to the right you can go to the guardhouse, which is that room with all of the pots on the ground and the guard just standing there. So that's what this is sort of representing. And then you also have the Poe collector shop right there, I believe, just to the right as you enter. So that's what that is leaning into. The other element here, let's just go in order, is this back alley. I'll throw up a reference image of what I was kind of going for. For some reason, this scene in Ocarina of Time sticks with me from being a kid. Eventually, to get guests to interact with this, I plan maybe to have a flat ride or two in this spot here. And then obviously you have another kind of throughway, which will have buildings on either side to make it a bit more intimate. A nice little path. Oh man, this live commentary thing is tough. I don't know how people do it. And then the other thing I was super happy with, obviously, okay, before we get there, obviously I have the planters lining the streets here, the benches, the bins, that sort of thing. And obviously this is like just a corner, kind of like your traditional kind of main street sort of vibe, building facade along the path here. But the coolest thing is this, you know, obviously I have the potion shop. We didn't talk about this yet either. This is a play on the Happy Mask shop. Obviously we can't sell masks in the park, so I went with the Happy Hat shop. Clever. I had this building here that I didn't know what to do with. At first I just assumed I would kind of leave it as a empty building shell, just a facade to kind of fill space and, you know, really finish off this little potion shop plaza. But I had this idea of like, why, it would be really cool. We have all these different lands and regions of Hyrule. What if we had like not just another gift shop, but like a plant shop? As you're walking out of the park for the day, you get like a Gerudo desert plant arrangement, or you get a Goron City bomb flower that is not a real bomb, of course, because that would be very irresponsible to give your guests actual bombs in the park. But you know, that sort of thing. I thought that was kind of a cool idea. You can see in the background, see the pink and green. I have kind of my palette of plants that in the future coming up here, I will combine different plants together to create different regions plants variations. So Zora, Goron, Gerudo, Lost Woods, that sort of thing. So I thought that was kind of a cool idea. Maybe I'm giving myself too much credit and spending too much time on this building, but I thought it was cool. All right, and here's where we're at now in real time. Like I said, this is where the park currently stands as I speak right now, recording this commentary. Obviously, a lot to get done for the rest of Castletown. It's just kind of this main strip that I have in a good spot. Even the main strip I don't think is completely done. I still have to fill in this corner here. I need to place a back of the building here. You know, the bones are there. The overall idea is there. That's another thing. I keep seeing people like that just phase through things. I need to put the barriers up. I have them in some spots, but that needs to get taken care of. Here's a random statue that needs to go. What is he looking at? The sun. He's looking directly into the sun. Cool. But yeah, this one, I'm pretty happy with how it's come out. I really like it. And here's that finished pathway too. I think I threw up the picture earlier in the video, but I'll do it again here for the sake of comparison. Again, guys, I'm pretty happy with where this stands right now. I think this is going to be the standard going forward, putting a lot of attention to detail in the planning, in kind of the strategy of the paths and the building placement, a lot more so than, say, the original Castletown. Like I said at the outside of the video, Just did not have much of a plan in mind, just sort of built some paths and placed some buildings there. So this is definitely more of a thought out strategy for pathing and building placement to really create intentional sightlines, intentional kind of intimacy with the surrounding infrastructure. Oh, and here's I did put up some signs here. So we have the Travelers Depot, the stroller mobility assistance rental things. I just completely stumbled over my words. Again, live commentary is hard. I have the guardhouse, which is going to be lost and found. Let's plop down into guest POV and we'll go look up here. I have not done anything on the interior of any of these buildings, but to get guests up here, I have two guest services, benches, desks, what do you call those things? Words are hard sometimes. The curio shop, I do have the Poe collector in here. That's all I have so far, but he's just hanging out waiting for his store to become a store and not just an empty building. But yeah, I guess as I walk around here, just some final shots. Look at the freaking lighting in this game. It's just beautiful, man. I love it. It's so good. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with how it came out. I like where this is going. I'm super excited about the parades. So yeah, a lot of work to be done, but I really like kind of the direction I'm taking this. I am excited to keep going. I'm excited to build a new Hyrule Castle in a grittier fashion than the previous iteration. I'm excited to build a Lon Ranch area, and I'm excited to kind of take this whole strategy and implement it into the rest of the park and kind of see how we can enhance this park going forward. But yeah, that will do it for this one, guys. Let me know what you think. I apologize for this random commentary, this repeating the word I really do apologize for that. Hopefully I have my capture card situation. Capture card? What am I talking about? External drive situation figured out, and I can record again and not lose my footage. I appreciate you guys sticking around for this one. If you have made it this far, I would love for you to tell me what you think. And if you are not subscribed already, you should subscribe, because I'm gonna be doing a lot more of this, and we have a lot more of this park to get to. I have a huge idea of enhancing the Temple of Time and doing a remake of the Temple of Time, maybe polishing it up, maybe doing a bit of a different skin, but keeping it kind of the same. But the ride experience, I do have an idea for that, so stay tuned for that. We have Rito Valley to come. We have Goron City we have to go back to and completely redo. A lot of work to be done there, so I'm excited for that. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I'm just rambling at this point, and just floating around with the birds. But I'm going to drift off into the sun, and I will see you in the next one, guys. Bye-bye.